Hi, I'm Missy K here on the Book Fix. Today my review is of Voyager by Diana Gabaldon. Um, and of course, this is the third book in the series, and I didn't do a review for the second book, so I'll do kind of my mini review right now. That it was a second book of the series, and even though this isn't a trilogy, it still sort of suffered from that middle book syndrome, probably because she wasn't sure how long this series was going to end up being. I just get that feeling, although I don't know. Because the second book was, is she going to go back to the 1700s to be with Jamie again? Did he survive and is she going back? And, well, the answer to whether he survived is of course he did, because otherwise there wouldn't be the second book. And the answer to will she go back is of course she will, because her husband in the modern day, in the 60s, was dead. Frank was dead. And because he's Jamie. So of course she's going back. So even though I found all of the history interesting and all of that, I still was I knew what the ending of the book was going to be from the beginning. Why wouldn't she be going back? Once she found out that he was alive, which of course he was. So this book was a little bit more interesting because she goes back and she finds him, she finds Jamie, and they get reunited, and then more adventures occur. Now, of course, I did say, I told someone that the books get a little bit ridiculous in that how much crazy stuff can happen to one person, even if they're a time traveling lady of adventure, right? I mean, but people do. Some people do have these crazy and eventful lives. And of course, if you did travel back in the 1700s, there was a lot more danger involved usually, and so stuff happened. And so I guess, it's somewhat believable. Um and it's definitely entertaining. There's no doubt about that. Related, Jamie is kind of a superhero. I mean, he's always getting injured and he always manages to not die. I guess he has been maimed when in the first book he was sort of maimed, and he has plenty of scars, but he always manages to not die. I don't know. It's just one of those things. You want Jamie to still be around because he's Jamie. He's great. He's very dreamy. So one of the things that I did have a problem with is you meet a Chinese character in this book. And it's sort of like with Blackjack Randall, who was the first gay character in the books. Um, it's not so much that there is a gay character, there is a Chinese character who is a pervert, who is not always a nice person. I should probably just spoilers. Um, this book has been out forever. Whatever. Yeah, Willoughby, or Tian Cho, is he's he's got a fetish for feet, and he also is the in some ways he's the bad guy of the book. He betrays them, um, or he betrays Jamie, and he ends up going crazy. And it's like, it's not so much that there is a Chinese person that is these things, but that he's the only Chinese person in the book, and he is these things. And that's how it was with Black Jack Randall. Is he's the only gay person in the first book. Well, I guess that's not true. There's the Duke of Sandringham, but he's not. He's kind of implied to be a pedophile, so not so much better. Anyway, only gay characters are not nice, you know. And of course, then she kind of remedied that as far as gay representation with um with Lord John. Um and maybe she remedies it later with Chinese people, with Asian people, in the later books. Um, but it's still, it made me feel uncomfortable that, like, he's the only Chinese guy and there's all these weird things about him. But other than that, I did enjoy it. I really enjoy every minute of reading these books, except when there are those things that make me feel kind of uncomfortable. But the but all of the writing, even when I'm like, what? That's another crazy thing that happens, or how many more times is Jamie going to almost die? Even when that happens, I'm still enjoying it because she writes in this really, in this manner that it's very smooth and easy to read, but she's just packing in tons of historical information, but in a way that doesn't feel like a textbook. She's very, very good at that. I think that's really the best thing about her writing, is the fact that she does this, um, all of this historical research, and then she gives you all this info, but without making it seem like class. And yeah, so basically I'm continuing to read these because they're fun and for the history porn, and I will continue to keep reading them.